So here's my building that I made from one large building and two facades. Let's close this up here. I also just unified the materials on the first floor using that plaster red material. And finally, let's just go ahead and make sure that all our buildings are snapped to the grid. Snap, snap, snap. And since we use these facades to cover up the parts of buildings, it'll be responsible of us to go and see if the building is rendering stuff we're not going to see. So let me just turn the lighting off. And if we go inside this little doorway here, we see some Z fighting with this plaster and this tile floor. Let's see. That's because the big building has a large interior space that we're just not going to see. So let's just delete that. We'll break the prefab instance. Okay, so that's one quick way of optimizing things. Let's go look around, look around. Okay, anything behind here? Okay, looks like we might have another space. Yeah. Okay, we'll delete that one. And let's see, looks like some windows. Yep. These windows can go. Let's see, let's make sure I'm selecting the parent here. Nope. Yeah, we'll delete these guys. Cool. Okay. And be sure to search through your building to make sure you're not rendering anything you don't need to. Let's add some doors. For that, just go to the exterior, prefabs, architecture, modular doors folder. And we have a couple options here. So here's door old B. Sorry, door old. This one is typically included in the the building and the facade prefab, so we don't have to worry about placing this one. But it's important to know that the pivot's already set up for you if you want to open a door and walk in. We have door old B. This one is just the door by itself. His pivot's also set up. He's got a box collider. And he is typically used at the top of this staircase here. Now, the door placement is a bit tricky because I couldn't quite put the doors on a 2-meter grid, and the interiors, they couldn't match up because the doors have specific pivot placements, so they rotate properly. So we just got to get in here and vertex snap the doors to their thresholds. And there we go. So that looks good. And all the doors are tagged properly. So we have batching static, occluding static, and reflection probe static. We want to make sure those are dynamically lit in case they're going to animate. Otherwise, you could just tag them static. Okay. And in this space, we could do, let's see, there's prefab gate B, which is a large kind of like a iron or a copper gate. We can just place into position here so you can see. This one doesn't need to be snapped per se, you just need to kind of position it naturally. It's got some nice engraving and round handles on it. Let me rotate the sun so you can see. Cool. Yep. And the pivot's set up properly too, so you can open it. I think, yep, prefab gate A is a smaller version of that same gate in case you want something a little more interesting, just for variety. His pivot's set up properly too. If we go to the editor, meshes, architecture, modular features folder, we'll find a number of special architectural features we can use on and around the buildings. So let's go to like this long empty facade side of this wall. Let me turn the sun so we can see it a little better. Okay. So let's make this a little more interesting back here. We have in the features folder, we have archway corner. So this is a large kind of like 6-meter archway that we can use. to pretty up the space. And snap him, lift him up. And he's got like an underside with plaster. He's got some nice rounded brick trim. He's looking cool. So he's the corner. Let's add the side, the next side. So we'll rotate him around. Make sure his open sides are facing properly. Snap. And just move him into position. For these particular meshes, the pivots should be against the wall you're snapping against. Because if you look, there's an open side here on the wall and on the side where the adjacent archway post connects. Okay, so there's that one. And now we'll just take the corner, move him down here, and we'll just negatively scale him on the X. There we go. Let's move these down just a little bit so they're evenly spaced. And grab archway post. Snap him and we'll move him into position. Like that. Okay. Duplicate, move, and we'll just duplicate these. Move them on down. When you want to move your objects based on the grid, as you're using the axis gizmo to move your objects, hold Control on a PC. I'm not sure what it is on Mac, but if you hold that, it'll grid snap as opposed to just moving freely. Now, when you get to a situation like this, where the posts and the windows don't have a natural relationship to each other, I have a special kind of archway wall piece that you can bring into the space. Let's rotate that, snap it, and we can just cover it up, bring it in. There we go. And then, of course, we'll delete those windows because we don't want to render them anymore. Cool. Bring that down. Delete these windows. Duplicate the wall, bring it down. And just like the facades, there's a brick material assigned to them by default, but we can easily change that. We can go, and I like the plaster brick B on these posts. That's pretty cool. Let's see what plaster is appropriate for that. Open wall, brickstone. Base plaster B. This would look cool up here. Nice. Looking nice, okay. We can augment the face of the building using some wood supports that I made. So let's rotate this sun so we can see. Let's go back to the modular features folder. And at the bottom here we have wood supports, and these are based on measurements. So the walls of the buildings are made in increments of 2 meters. There's 2 meters, 4 meters, and 6 meter increments. And some of the quarters are 1 meter. You can kind of see the division where the triangles are. So in this case, I just know from looking at it that the distance between this threshold and this vertical edge here where the corner starts is 4 meters. So I can add a I would support 4 meter. Snap, and we'll just move into position. And to end the support, we'll just do a support single. Snap him, move him into position. There we go. And we could do this for the second floor too. The same pieces will fit on the second floor. Except here it's a little different. You can see the difference here. We have a 1 meter corner, we have a 2 meter piece in between, and then a piece that has 3 windows. This long piece is 6 meters. This short piece is 2. So we need a wood support for 2 meters. Let's bring him over, snap him, put him in position, and one for 6. And we'll just take this support end, and there we go. And you can do this all the way around the building. I'm just doing this for illustration purposes. And of course, you can, again, swap the material on the second floor here for something that's, more in line with plaster, or keep it, whatever you like. Another thing to note is in this features folder and in the walls folder, you're going to see some meshes with B in their name, like wall window B and supports B, as opposed to just wall supports or wood supports. These are shorter than those, and that's because there are some buildings that are shorter. So the height of this wall is about 4 meters, and I have a variant. So I could show you. I have a variant of, say, windows. It's just a small piece. So here's one that's shorter, right? And the buildings and the facades use these pieces, use these shorter pieces just for variety. So if you happen to use them, the wood supports and other things that are labeled B will fit them as well. See, just like that. As long as it's snapped to the grid, it'll work.